Better Than You. So this amazing trailblazer, over $1 billion at the box office. How many of y'all seen Girls Trip? Who showed at it? Yeah, I did too. Stomp the Yard, I saw that too. And tonight, you all will get to hear from this amazing award-winning producer who's gonna share his story, his tips, all the things that he's learned along the way and that you can learn from too. So you all, please help me welcome up the dynamic, the amazing Mr. Will Packer in the building tonight. What?
Thank you, Ramonda.
What up, y'all? How we doing? Listen, y'all got to give it up one more time for Ramonda. I have just met this incredible sister. The Mahogany Bookstore has been around for decades. I am so impressed. It's hard to have any business at all. I'm telling you, as a business owner, any business at all that you are able to sustain. A bookstore in the age of Jeff Bezos, a black bookstore
that part.
In the age of this America,
that
Ramonda, I'm going to give you your flowers right now. It is an honor to be here. Thank you for having me. You are incredible. Thank you.
But Will, before we even do that, she began there you go. She started the motto, Black Books Matter.
Yes.
Come on. Before we were banned.
Yes.
And now we're banned. Thank you, Ramonda. Well, wait, I want to start this all over again because the great Will Packer is here.
Okay.
DC! I drove all the way from Chevy Chase tonight. Come on. I drove from Chevy Chase for this man, okay? DC! All right. We have watched people in New Orleans do things when they cross the zip line. We've watched some other movies, but tonight we're going to talk about arrogance. We're going to talk about walking boldly. We're going to get in that thing. It's called Who Better Than You? The Art of Healthy Arrogance and Dreaming Big by Will Packer. Let's give it up for Will Packer tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. Listen, let me tell y'all something. I'm so glad April sat down because for a minute I was like, are we going to stand the whole time? And and listen, April, I was with you. If we're going to stand, we're going to stand. But I was like,
I believe
it's going to be a long speech.
No, but I believe in giving people their flowers.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, I'm serious. I've been a fan of yours for a while.
Yeah, thank you.
And I mean, I'm not joking, guys. I told him a long time ago, I don't know if you remember that text, but I said, I can be in one of your movies, and he just laughed at me. And he never said anything, he just laughed in the DM. But I'm serious, I want to be in Girls Trip, Martha's Vineyard, you know?
I think that's an amazing idea.
I know, we joked about that. But Will, let me say this to you.
Yes.
I grew up in a home where my mother used to say, be humble, walk softly, do your job, and look at what's happening right now. Who better than you? The art of healthy arrogance. Dream big. You're juxtaposed to what my parents said. And I'm going to give you a story before we get into this, too. When the last presidential administration, remember him? Joe Biden?
Yes, we do.
All right, yeah, please. This is interactive. I need some. I need some call and response.
I'm gonna tell you what it is, April. It's an uncomfortable time. People didn't know where you was going with it, so they just you gotta give us this. I'm just saying.
Let me tell you something. What did I say? I'm free. I don't have any shackles.
Yes, I know.
I can talk about Biden. I can talk about Obama. And I can talk about the one at 1600 now. Don't care.
Okay.
Come after me here.
All
we'll
right.
see what happens. So anyway,
let's get into this quick before they cut the mics off. I don't know.
I said it, not Will. So anyway, here's the bottom line. During the last administration, Joe Biden told me in Milwaukee, we had an interview. I said, sir, thank you. He said, no, you deserve this. You don't need to be thanking me. He basically told me to walk into who I was. That's hard for somebody whose parents told you to be humble.
Yep.
Walk softly. How do we marry those things? Because how many of you were taught to be humble? Raise your hands. Don't be shy. Raise them high. That's a good majority of the crowd.
Yeah. Especially if you are a person of color or a woman, you are taught that you need to do things that do not offend the power structure, right? And we know that we live in a patriarchal, primarily non-minority, non-black, white power structure. And so you are taught to do things, go along to get along. It's interesting because your mom wasn't wrong, right? I just take a different approach to it. And I'm going to challenge everybody in this room to shift your POV a little bit. Think about it a little bit.
Point of view, POV, point of view.
Yes, that's right. Shift your point of view. Because in this society today, everybody is always assigning value to us. They're assigning value to you, each and every person in this room. You're assigning a value to yourself. And you're also telling people what value they should assign to you. And so if you're somebody that is walking into a room and you're not clear or you are not strong in the way that you're presenting the way that people should assign value to you, then you are allowing them to diminish your value, whether you mean it or not, right? Whether it's intentional or not. And you got to understand that even if you don't want to, I don't want to participate in that. I want people to just kind of see my self-worth. I want them to, I don't want to have to sell myself. You're selling yourself, period. Point blank. That's just the reality. I don't care who you are, where you are, what. You don't have to be in Hollywood. You don't have to be a White House correspondent. You don't have to be a CEO. Doesn't matter. You walk into a grocery store, you're telling somebody who you are and how they should perceive you. So especially when you walk into rooms, when you have people that are in positions of power, when you walk into a job interview or you walk into a relationship, you're telling that other person what value to assign to you. You're telling your story. I always take it back to storytelling, and myself being a filmmaker, I always say it's very important, I talk about it in the book, for you to tell your story and to own your story. Now, get into the healthy arrogance part. What you have to understand is you can take advantage of the age-old human trait and characteristic of everybody that you meet thinking, what's in it for me? Okay? Everybody you meet is always thinking, what am I going to get out of this? Hey, Deborah. I went to Florida A&M University on a full ride scholarship.
Come on,
and
full ride.
I was being recruited by Ivy League schools because at that time they had the National Achievement Scholars, which was some of the National Merit Scholars and the highest achieving minorities in the country could receive this particular designation, and I got it. And my university, Florida A&M University, was trying to get the most National Achievement Scholars. And the year I came in, we passed Harvard for the first time having the most high-achieving black students. Here's the thing. I was recruited the same way that they recruit D1 athletes. The president of the university and the person that was over the scholarship program came to my house and said, you don't have to go to an Ivy, because I wanted to go to Penn. I wanted to go to Wharton. You don't have to go to Ivy. You can go to a black college and get that same level of excellence. That woman right there is the woman who recruited me along with the president of FAMU. Her name is Deborah. Deborah Williams.
Get your flowers.
Thank you.
Amen.
I love you. I have not seen you in years. And we lost Dr. Humphreys, who was amazing president at that time, but it was you and Dr. Humphreys, so I had to make sure I gave you that moment. You look great. Thank you. Thank you.
When she looks up into the stars, she always
That's
sees
amazing.
you. That's what she just said.
But we are who we are because of the people around us. Right. That's who we are. And back to my point. So you are always going to be dealing with people who are going to be thinking, what's in it for me, right? What you have to do is align yourself with what they think that they want and that they need. So you don't have to walk into a room head bowed saying, I just want to be palatable and amenable and not offend anybody. You can walk into that room strong, but you have to understand that you have to walk in and say, I got something to add to this power structure. Who has the power in this room? I can make you look good. My first hit movie ever was called Stomp the Yard. Stomp the Yard was a movie that Hollywood did not want to make, and I had to hustle. I had to go out and I had to convince Hollywood studios, and everybody told me no, but it only takes one yes, that they should make Stomp the Yard. And the head of the studio was a very cocky, arrogant, loud, abrasive, kind of typical Hollywood, the way that we stereotype those executives. He was one of those execs, right? So me walking into that room, I had to figure out, how am I going to get him on my side? And you know what I did? I convinced him that I was going to make him look smart. I convinced him I can make you look great. because I've got an idea for a movie. I know I can make it for a budget. This movie can be successful, and you are going to benefit from it because you're the head of the studio. You're going to get the credit from it. He said, tell me more.
You gave him numbers.
Absolutely.
Success,
oh, you have to have.
played into his ego.
100%. And so know that no matter who it is you're talking to or dealing with, everybody's got an ego and everybody's looking at what's in it for them. So you can come in with a confidence. You can come in with a healthy arrogance, not toxic arrogance, but a healthy arrogance which says that I belong in any room that I'm in, but I'm adding something to the room. I can make the people in the room better, and you're going to get people in power's attention by convincing them that you can help them with their goals.
So let's go back to FAMU. Let's go back 50 years, if you may. 50 years ago, how many of you watched the movie The Rocky Horror Picture Show? I love that show. For those of you who haven't, it's a quirky cult movie where they throw toilet paper, squirt water, all sorts of things. But that thing is still a big deal now. And that was one of his first challenges when he was in FAMU, trying to get a picture to be played juxtaposed to them playing the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Tell us that story.
Yeah, I was at FAMU and I was majoring in engineering. And myself and my partner, Rob Hardy, we had made this tiny little movie. And we sent it to Hollywood, and Hollywood, they didn't even open the packages, right? They just threw them straight in the trash. They didn't respond, call back, like, at least thank you for your submission, but no, none of that. We got nothing. We got literally the cold shoulder from Hollywood. But we were so ambitious, and we had a healthy arrogance that we felt like, well, what does Hollywood know? We know that there are people that want to see this movie. We made it on a black college campus. It's about black college life. Like, somebody would want to see it, mainly the students at our university. But we needed a venue to show it. So we went to the local second-run theater. These don't really exist anymore, but this is, back in the day.
Dollar movies.
The dollar.
Yes.
If anybody remembers a dollar movie, after it left the main theater, then it would go and play at the dollar movie. So I went to the dollar movie theater, and I'll never forget, there was a weed-smoking white boy who was the manager of the movie theater. He had a long ponytail, and I'll never forget, he would pull on his joint and pull on his ponytail at the same time. And I would come into his office, he'd be there, he'd be pulling on his joint and pulling on his ponytail. And I said, hey, let us show our movie at your movie theater. It's a second-run movie theater. Like, what do you have to lose? Just let us show. And he said, I'm showing Rocky Horror Picture Show 10 times a day. I got a good gig, okay? And he was pulling, and he was like, I don't want to mess that up. I don't want to call corporate. I don't want to ask people if I can add your movie. I'm making a good living here. Leave me alone. Like, he had his part-time job, and he was getting high, and what he didn't know is that I was not going to take no for an answer. And I stayed in his office. It's that healthy arrogance and that determination, and I stayed in that office until we were both high. And he said, if I give you one weekend to play your movie, will you leave me alone? I said, absolutely. And he said, all right, you got it. And I stumbled on out of there after having that secondhand smoke. But I needed to convince him to give me one weekend that wouldn't hurt him, right? And we went in and we sold out because we only had one showing. So we convinced everybody in the city of Tallahassee to come out and see our little movie. It was called Chocolate City. And we sold that movie out. And we sold, that theater, they sold out of popcorn, they sold out of soda, they sold out of candy. Everybody in the movie was kids, under 21. So they sold out of beer, right? So they sold out of alcohol, all of that. And I'll never forget that Monday he calls me and he says, I need to talk to you. You got to come into the office. And I'm thinking, oh my God, somebody is like broken something. And I knew it was too good to be true. Like, he came in, sat me down, the same guy that I couldn't convince to show my movie. He said, hey, we made so much money this weekend, more than I've ever made on Rocky Horror Picture Show. We want to show your little movie, Chocolate City, next weekend, and the weekend after that, and the weekend after that. There you go. Yeah, but I made it worth his while. I made it something that he could benefit from.
So wait a minute. You did that. That was healthy arrogance, but where did you get that from in college? Because I know when we're in college, we're kind of like that quirky kid trying to figure it out, but trying to act like we know. Yeah. Where did that come from?
It really started from my childhood, honestly. I had parents, and I always told people, if you have kids, treat them like my parents treated me. My parents treated me like Simba in The Lion King. They went and found the highest cliff they could, lifted me up and said, son, everything the sun touches is yours. Like, they literally told me, if you're willing to work for it, you can do anything. And I was young. I had the audacity to believe them. And that stuck with me, right? So if you have an opportunity to impart that upon the youth, do it. But even if you weren't told that, that's okay. Because confidence is a muscle. You can build it like you build any muscle. Any muscle can be built and fortified.
So your parents did it. They instilled it in you. What are you doing for your kids? I was privileged to see something earlier that brought a tear to my eye. But tell me what you do for your kids.
I try to do for my kids what my parents did for me, which is to take the guardrails off, which is to take the limitations off. We live in a society that is constantly telling us what you can't do, okay? This is your box. These are your parameters. Stay in your box. Stay in your lane, right? You're a black female, you can do this, right? You are a, gay Latino, you can do that. You are a woman over the age of 50, you can only do this. It is those people who dare to challenge the constructs that society has put on us that see an outsized level of success. So what I try to do with my daughter and my sons, I have 4 kids, is to let them know that the limitations are the ones that they set. And April was referring to backstage, my daughter is here tonight. And I said, baby, give me some advice. Give me a pep talk. And she said, I'm going to give you the pep talk that you would give us. And she was kind of mean. She damn near cussed me out. I'm going to be honest with you. I was a little nervous.
Said that's what you do.
I know. And I was like, do I do it like that? She said, you got this. You better get up in there. You've done this a bunch of times. Let those people know that you're Will Packer and this is your book, and make sure that they understand what healthy arrogance is. I was like, Jesus, Nyjah, okay. Okay. Were you beat as a child? What is the... But it is that kind of energy that I try to impart. Nyjah, you got to wave because I called you out now. That's my baby girl right there. Howard graduate right there, lives in D.C., incredible writer on her own. So I try to do that same thing, April.
That was an amazing moment. But let's go back to this guy who was smoking and then pulling the white guy.
Yeah.
And in the book you say, all you need is one white guy. Was he that white guy?
Yeah. So
you said it.
He was one of them.
Yeah.
He was one of them. So in the book, there's a chapter, and it's called "All You Need Is One White Guy." And the point of it that I make very clear is that it's not about having like literally a white male, right? What it is that you only need one advocate in a position of power. And oftentimes when you are somebody that's in a position that does not have resources, power, a last name that opens doors for you, that was me. That was me. I knew nobody in Hollywood, right? And I ended up connecting the guy who greenlit Stomp the Yard was this white guy from Alabama. And he was, loud and brash. He was gay, and he just was somebody that just walked into a room and started cussing everybody out. Like he was just one of these, off the rails kind of movie executives. But he and I, together, with me being a producer and him being a studio executive, we made about 5 or 6 #1 movies at the box office. I'm talking Stomp the Yard, Takers, Obsessed, Think Like a Man. Like all of that is stuff that I did under his purview.
Was the bomb.
Remember that one?
Yeah, oh, child. Think Like a Man 1 and Think Like a Man 2.
Yes.
Yes. I used that.
Absolutely. Did it work? Has it?
She married.
Hello.
She
Hello.
married.
That's all I wanted to know. There we go. Shout out to Steve Harvey.
All right.
I tell you a funny Steve Harvey story. When we were releasing Think Like a Man, we had, how movie stars sometimes now will go and surprise audiences at theaters, pop up and surprise them and hand out, swag, gifts and merch and all that type of stuff. We started that. We really did. back in the day with Think Like a Man. And I had, of course, that cast. Y'all remember Kevin Hart, Regina Hall, and Taraji, and Terrence J., all the folks, Michael Ealy. And
Y'all can clap. Y'all can
we got them.
Yeah.
We got them to show up at theaters. And we had worked really, really hard in the promotion of that film. I put my whole cast to work, got them going to theaters, and I'll never forget that Friday, when a movie comes out, especially in the theaters, they have an algorithm that extrapolates the data based on the first day, and it tells you how much the movie's going to make for the weekend. And so that first day on a Friday, it's like actually watching election returns. You're literally every hour getting results from.
Wait a minute, every hour?
Every hour starting at noon, starting at the New York matinees.
So do you go through the highs and the lows
yes.
like we do
Crazy.
Like November 5th?
No question.
Really?
It is nerve-wracking.
That's crazy.
You're literally sitting there, and at 12 o'clock, you're getting the numbers because it starts, typically in New York in the Times Square. I'll never forget AMC Empire, Times Square. At 12 o'clock, oh, we doing good. Then 1 o'clock, oh, we didn't do so good. 2 o'clock, oh, we back up. This is in the middle of the day, right?
Wow.
Who is going to the movies at 2 o'clock? Those people were determining whether or not I got an ulcer that day. Whoever was skipping work and going to watch the movie, I needed those people, right? So every hour I was getting it. And so by the end of the night on Friday, they have enough data that they are able, over the decades of doing this, to determine how much a movie is going to make through the course of the weekend. That Friday night, it was determined that we were going to make $20-something million that weekend, opening weekend. And we had made the movie for $20-something million. I called all my actors. I said, guys, we did it. Congratulations. Looks like we're going to have the #1 movie. We made our budget back, opening weekend, all of that. I called every last one of them. They were so pleased. Called Kevin Hart. He was drunk. Didn't matter. I called Steve Harvey.
He's telling everybody business.
Listen, April, you told me to keep it real up here.
All right, keep it real.
I said.
Don't get sued, though, but go ahead.
I'm going to just blame April if I do. I called Steve Harvey. I said, hey, Unc, I got great news. We're going to make $20-something million for the weekend. He said, oh, man, that's great. I said, yeah, we're going to make our opening, we're going to make our budget back opening weekend. He said, well, now, how does that work, though? Because it's just Friday night. Still Saturday, Sunday. Could it go even higher? I said, well, Steve, listen. Let me explain to you how it works, Steve, all right? You do comedy and Miss Universe pageants. Let me do the movies, all right?
Oh, wait a minute.
Listen, whatever.
There was one of them Miss Universe pageants that didn't go so well.
That's why I said that.
Oh,
and so I said, Steve, this is how it works. The number is solid. Don't worry about it. It's a great number. This is what we're going to do. Enjoy your weekend. He said, all right, well, if you're satisfied, then good for you. As long as my check is good, then I'm ready to go. Literally said that and hung up the phone. I couldn't get it out of my head. He was challenging me to say, have you done enough? And in the book, I talk about how the race isn't over until it's over. And too often, we, in various aspects of our life, we get to a point where it's like, I've done all I can do. I've done enough. But have you? Have you really? I called back all the actors, and I said, hey, we got to push this through the weekend. I said, who can go and pop up on a theater in L.A. at the Grove? Who can do another pop-up in New York? Who can go and get on the radio show that's happening tomorrow night? I called every last one of them. They answered the call, and we worked that. We sent out, this is the early days of social media when people would forward an email to 10 of your friends and all that. We worked it throughout that whole weekend. Come Monday morning, that movie that was estimated to make $20-something million had grossed over $33 million and had defied expectations and was #1 by a long shot. It taught me it's not over till it's over.
Come on.
You got to finish the damn deal. That's a chapter I call it. Finish the damn deal no matter what. Steve taught me that.
No matter, because you broke even, but he thought you should do more.
He did. He was challenging me.
He challenged you to do more. He
Absolutely.
challenged you to greaterness.
Yes, he did.
He challenged you to greaterness. Now let's start off. I want to read a piece, and I want you to go into a bit of it to discuss it.
All right.
We see you now, but we get a glimpse of who you really were young. This is very telling. It's on. If you have the book, go to page 40. Why do we
taking us to class, ain't we? We just open up, or church. I'm not sure which it is. Good. Okay.
No, wait a minute. Why do we get fixated on the door that's closed? Yes, page 40 at the bottom. Yeah, yes, you like, look at that. Yes, the teacher said, thank you, thank you. Okay, it's a word right there. The Church of Will Packer. Say amen. Getting a fortuitous no sometimes means you got to kick in the doors. And it means you can't waste time on excuses for why the door is closed in the first place. In elementary school, I got transferred into the gifted class. After the first day, I came home ranting to my parents about how bad and racist it was. Nothing happened, mind you, but I was the only black kid, and I felt like everybody was staring at me. I hated it. My parents let me have my first grade tantrum. Then they said, okay, now let us tell you how good you got it, being the only black kid in the gifted class. Finish that.
They told me that when you walk into that room and you are the only black kid in that room, you have everybody's attention.
That's true.
Never let it go. They said, now, do those other folks have a preconceived notion about who you are and what you can't do and what your shortcomings are? Maybe. But every other kid in that class has to do something to stand out. You don't. You have their attention, never let it go, show them your greatness, show them who you are. That chapter is about several things for me. The fortuitous no is what's referenced there. When you get told no, like we all do, we all have to deal with rejection. And it hurts. It's painful, especially if it's something you work very, very hard for. Oftentimes, we do three things. We get rejected. We can crawl into a ball and cry and say, woe is me. We can get angry. We can say, you know, what do they know? They just hating. They hating on me, right? Or we can try to figure out why we got the no. And this can be hard to do. But this requires us to swallow the ego and swallow the pride and try to figure out if you get told no and you're able to ascertain why you got told no, you can then do something with that information and turn it into a fortuitous no. I tell the story about how when I made the movie Obsessed, starring Beyonce and Idris Elba.
Please, I was getting ready to get to Beyonce because you like to talk about Beyonce a lot. Please tell me.
Well, hold on now. We're not going to just Will Packer like to talk about Beyonce.
No,
I just tell the stories.
That's a major story. Go ahead.
Had a beehive coming after me. No, but what happened was I had this movie, and Sony said, it's a thriller. We like it. It's not about who's in the movie. It's about the budget, what you can make it for, and then we went out and we got word that Beyonce might be interested in doing a thriller.
It was a beautiful movie.
I appreciate that.
It was a beautiful movie.
All of a sudden, Sony Pictures was saying, you have to get Beyonce in order for us to make this movie. So it went from me having a green light for a movie to having to have one of the biggest stars in the world. I went to Beyonce, and she was gracious enough to read the script and then gracious enough to tell me I'm not doing your movie. And she told me no. And she was very clear about it. And I asked why. And this was the key. She was gracious enough to tell me what was holding her back from doing the movie. And she told me the elements that made it difficult for her to say yes. And I went, thought about it, processed it, and I did a cost-benefit analysis that we all have to do, right? And in this scenario, I wasn't getting my movie made if I didn't have Beyonce. So that meant I needed to look and see what would it take to try to get Beyonce. And I looked and I tried to remove some of those elements that were holding her back. And I went back to her, and she was gracious enough to consider it again and honest enough to tell me no again. True story, y'all. Beyonce told me no 5 times on Obsessed. True story. But it only takes one yes.
That's right.
And by the time I came back that 6th time, I had removed all the elements that were holding her back. But most importantly, I actually had a better movie because she had challenged me. And the things that were bothering her about it were actually flaws within the movie, the director, the production design, whatever it might be. And by the time she said yes, I had learned and made a better project. And so now she said yes, she came out, the movie opened #1. Now, whatever your Beyonce is, they may never say yes. They may tell you no and be done with you, and that happens, and I've had that happen. But if you can find out why, and then make your project, your pitch, yourself, whatever it is, make it better, then guess what? It was a fortuitous no. Don't get caught up on the no. Don't get caught up on the rejection. See if you can find a reason to get a result out of it. That's what I was able to do. So it was a fortuitous no for me. Ultimately, I did get her to say yes to that project,
Yes,
but
did.
I had a better project because she was willing to tell me why she said no. If you can pull the ego out of it, and I'm so mad, and how can they hating on me and telling me that I shouldn't, and they should have said yes and no. Okay, forget all that. Swallow it and then say, what is it? What is it that held this particular person, company, individual back?
Take the ego out.
Take the ego out. Yep.
Wow. All right, so I'm going to ask one more question, then we're going to go to the audience for Q&As, okay? How many of you are big movie buffs, movie fans? You watch movies. We can watch movies everywhere now. Stream it, go to the movies, go to the theater, etc. I am such a supporter of black folks and their products. I will watch African films. I'm serious. I want to see me. My mother taught me when I was a kid, I want to see us and don't insult your intelligence. And I watch, and when I see you do things, and I see you, Dave Talbot, who's my classmate, yes. So many other people do things, it just makes me want to holler, if you get that reference. But one thing that really made me so proud, to hear April Reign do the campaign for Oscars So White. Remember Oscars So White? Then there was this big campaign, we're not seen enough. And for black people, we have a $2 trillion spending power in this nation. That's according to Mark Morial of the National Urban League.
Yep.
We go to the movies, and that's one of the reasons why they tell you to get your ticket from the right place and don't get something else, because it shows up as, I didn't know you were, they check the tickets and check the numbers. But when April Reign moved the Academy so much so to focus in, I love your teacher, to focus in, she's nodding and she's so engaged, to focus in on blackness. Do you know he was the director that night? I was so proud of you. Yeah. I reached out to April Reign while the show was going on. I said, girl, look at what you did. I said, are you watching?
Well, April, you got to tell them what night you're talking about now.
I think they know. We getting ready to get into it.
Y'all know what she's talking about?
You got to do a slow lead up. You got to do a slow lead up.
All right.
So
I was trying to get out of here without doing this question. You got any questions for the crowd? Anybody want to talk about
No, because that was, I'm going to tell you, and you don't get the credit for that night. That was a beautiful night. The music.
Thank you.
The whole program, I said, oh my God, this is blackity black. I said, I was so proud. It was the night that, that was enough right there. That was enough right there.
Yep.
That was enough right there.
It was that night. Yep.
It was that night.
Yep.
What I was told from the Academy in Martha's Vineyard that next summer, that shifted a lot of programs for us. Oscars So Black. It changed back, did it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, Hollywood is reactionary. Always has been.
Politics is reactionary.
It sure is. But to be an industry that proclaims to be very liberal and risk-taking and avant-garde, it is very conservative, and it is very risk-averse. And those Oscars that I was the producer of, and myself and my producing partner, who is here, Shayla Cowan is in the back. Raise your hand right there. That incredible sister. We were the first all-black producing team of the Academy Awards, and April is 100% right. There had been this campaign about the lack of inclusion at the Academy Awards. They had come to me before to produce it, and I had declined just because I was so busy, and frankly, it scared me, right? Like taking on something.
Wait a minute, you were scared?
That's
with that healthy arrogance?
Listen, it was. I tell my kids, they can vouch, that you got to do the thing that scares you the most. If it's something scaring you, you got to look it in the eye, whatever it is. Don't let that monster stay in the room. You got to kick open the door and deal with it, or else it will terrify you and haunt you the rest of your life. And so it didn't scare me in the sense of how people normally talk about fear, but I definitely was apprehensive in saying, I don't know if this is a good move for me. Well, I finally said, you know what? I can't run from this anymore. Like, let's go in. Let's do it. And you're absolutely right, April. I am still very proud of this show to that day because we had HBCU students on the stage. We had a black conductor. We had a black DJ. We had the woman who was the voice of the Oscars was a black female that year. Like, we did all the things, right?
HBCU students, I was so proud. They were given the award.
Giving the awards, walking out on the stage.
They were walking
yes.
out. I said,
yes.
Yes. Y'all,
yes.
This is blackity, blackity, blackity,
yes.
black.
Yes.
I
right.
said, Will Peck, I have wanted to tell you.
That was the verse now. I'm just, don't make it seem like I just did the BET Awards.
No, it wasn't the BET. No, no, it wasn't.
It wasn't the Image Awards, and I love those awards, April. No, but I'm just saying.
It was so polished and beautiful.
Thank
we
you.
were seen.
Thank you.
We were seen. It was.
Thank you.
It was the best Oscars I had seen until that moment.
Until a black man walked up on that stage with another black man. Let me tell y'all, it is, obviously I can talk about it now. And it is, I can talk about it with levity, I can smile about it. There's a chapter in the book, and I talk about how it's called Every Failure Isn't a Disaster. And on its surface, that show did not accomplish everything that I wanted it to accomplish, largely because that is how it's remembered, right? There was a failure in that aspect of the show, but it wasn't a disaster because I was able to give people opportunities that they may never, ever, ever get again. On the highest stage, that show is watched by hundreds of millions of people around the world. And I set out to do something and to represent people that don't often get represented. And no matter what happened in that moment, and I've talked to Will, I've talked to Chris, I'm good with both of them now. But at the end of the day, and you will have your moment. Some of you have already had it. You'll have your Will Smith slap moment. You'll have your moment where you try so hard, you plan everything out, and something doesn't go right. Something outside of your control. I don't care if it's a cookout or a huge multi-million-dollar presentation. I promise you're going to have that moment. And remember Will Packer sitting on this stage and saying to you, that doesn't define you. You do everything that you can to prepare, to put your best foot forward, to control what you can control. And that's all you can do. And then you let it go, and you be proud of it. And if things don't go the way that you intended them to go, that's okay. Doesn't mean it was a disaster. There are things that you can learn from it, and you can move forward. I'm still very, very proud of that show to this day.
You should be. It was a beautiful show.
Thank you.
I'm giving you, I'm telling you, in D.C., the ladies at the White House, we have an Oscars watch party. We get the cookies that look like the Oscar statue and all that kind of stuff. We actually vote.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, I am a movie buff, and I thought that was the most magnificent show because I felt seeing so many black people watch movies and are not, the people that we want to see don't win. Yeah. You know, a lot of times, some of those movies, I'm like, how did that even get nominated?
Yeah, because we're not voting. We're not the voters in the Academy.
Well, I want to get into the Academy. I'm telling you, I want to find a way to loop in some kind of way. They probably won't get me, but, you know, but if there's a way that black folks can get in, let us know. But with that said, no, I'm serious, be a voting member of the Academy so you can see he can win an award. You can see more black people, black movies win awards. I want to see myself on TV, and that kind of thing that happened also prevents a lot of from Hollywood from buying into and investing in black movies. Am I correct?
Here's what I would say about it. Hollywood, at the end of the day, is a business that, and capitalism overrules everything. You saw that a little bit with some of the recent, media stuff. We're talking about ABC, talking about CBS, Paramount. Like, it's no secret. At the end of the day, it's green that rules. And so what I try to remind people, April, is that the power is what you're alluding to. We have the power. $2 trillion in buying power, where we spend that matters. And it's not people like me or big actors or directors in Hollywood that have the power. It's you. It's you, the consumers. And you tell Hollywood what you want to see. And so if you're tired of seeing a certain type of movie, you want to see another type, but you're not going out and supporting them, those movies come to theaters, and you're not going to watch them in theaters, you're not going to watch them on streaming, then you actually are part of the problem and the reason they continue to make the stuff that maybe you think you don't want to see. Because those people are going and voting with their dollars. You're voting every time there's an entertainment option out there. I promise you, they are paying very, very close attention to it.
All right, Ramonda, you have a question from some?
I do, but first I want to give it up. Let's give it a big round of applause to Mr. Will Packer, Miss April Ryan. I told you I was a master class. I hear you, Deltas. I hear y'all. But I would love to open it up for questions. So Chanel on this side, will you raise your hand? Amazing team member here at the library. So we'll alternate. So we'll ask questions on this side, and then I'll get the people
So wait
on
a
this
minute,
side.
before we go, I'm going to tell you, before you go into questions, your conversation was so powerful. This young lady went out and bought 2 books during the conversation. I'm telling you. I mean,
I appreciate you.
I'm serious.
Thank
it was
you.
so powerful. People
Yes.
left the conversation and went
That's
out
awesome.
there. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I wanted to let you know I saw you come sneaking
I
back in with
appreciate
your 2
you.
books.
Thank you.
How many of you got your books? Show me. Raise your hand. Raise your books.
Yes.
Take
Awesome.
a picture of this. Show the
Yes.
books.
Awesome,
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. Come
Yes.
on now. That's what I'm talking about. We're gonna
That
get
could get it. See my girl right there? She
All
got
right,
it.
yes, yes,
She got it.
yes,
We getting y'all.
yes. All right, question.
I wanted to know, what was the film or TV show that got you interested in starting doing your own things?
You know what's so interesting? That's a great question. For me, I actually fell in love with storytelling after I made my first little tiny movie, which was called Chocolate City, that I shot on the campus of Florida A&M University. I was always interested in the business aspect of Hollywood. I went to FAMU, major in engineering, and then my plan was to still go to Wharton, to go to Penn to get my MBA. And I thought, you know what? I just want to be an entrepreneur and have my own business. I don't know what my widget will be. And I give all props to my lifelong friend and business partner at the time, Rob Hardy. He wanted to be a director. He knew he wanted to be a director. And he was inspired by people like Spike Lee and the Hudlin brothers, the Hughes brothers, great black filmmakers. And I helped him to make his first movie when we were there at Florida A&M. And I was then able to help him get that movie in that second run theater. We got a little deal to put it in Blockbuster Video, if y'all remember Blockbuster, right? And so I was able to take a movie that we had raised $20,000 for, and it made $100,000 by the time we were done.
Wow.
And I said, what am I going to business school for? Because that's 5X in any language.
that part.
Literally. I said, this is the widget. I said, what's that called, what I just did? I went out and helped get the actors and found the distribution and hustled it up independently. And they said, oh, that's what a producer does. I said, that's what I'm going to be.
In
So that
college,
actually-
making commas and zeros.
In college.
In college.
Yes.
Undergrad, making
Yes.
commas and zeros like that.
We still broke now. Make no mistake. It's
Child,
just,
yeah,
I didn't
okay.
see all that money. But
You're broke compared to our broke. It's a whole different broke. Anyway, yes, ma'am.
Hello, thank you so much, both of you, for doing this. What do you think makes a great storyteller? You read something and it just grabs you. Would you say are 3 qualities where you say this is some great writing?
Oh, that's a great question. Authenticity, okay? That is something that is so important. And, you know, it's also something I talk about in the book. No matter who you are, there is only one of you, and you have something that nobody else in this room has. Lean into it. People run from their authenticity because they think, well, maybe it's not marketable. Maybe it's not what people are looking for right now. That may be true, but is there an aspect of you that will align with whatever it is that the buyers are looking for? Anytime you can lean into your own authentic voice, that is going to give you a leg up. Second thing is to be bold and fearless. There is an oversaturation of content right now. Anywhere you turn, you can go on your phone, at home, the movie theater. Everybody is competing for our attention, for our eyeballs. You got to be loud. Whatever it is that you create needs to be loud. Usually, if you're fearless about the way that you're telling the story, telling it different than other people have, maybe breaking the rules, the conventions of how people, you know, tell you should write a script, something like that to help you stand out. The third thing is very, very simple, and it is what has driven my career. Never forget the audience. Who are you making it for? If you are somebody that wants to tell like a very, very small story about your own personal journey, your family, and it's something that just your folks are going to be interested in, tell that story. But then don't be surprised when you can't sell it to Hollywood. Because Hollywood only cares about, can I get everybody in this room and in all of Metro DC to go see it? That's the economic imperative that they operate under. So remember your audience. Whatever your audience is, it's up for you to define, right? Any of my writers in here, never forget your audience. People too many times in an effort to tell a story a particular way, don't tell it in a way that's going to be palatable to audiences. So those would be my three. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. I'm a Noles, so go Rattlers, go
All
Noles.
right. Tallahassee, stand up.
My question for you is, I'm getting ready to transition from my job to a full-time entrepreneur. And when did you know when it was time to pivot or like stay the course on a certain task?
That's a great question. One of the things I talk about in the book is the power of the pivot. And I get approached by a lot of people that are at a stage in their lives where they're looking to do something different. And I always say, what you have done, I don't care if it's the thing you've done your whole entire life, it doesn't define what the next chapter is going to be. In the movie business, we always know the way you leave an audience is the way that they felt about your project, right? What that means is that you can have a movie that is totally boring for the first 60 minutes, but if that last 5 minutes knocks them out of their seat, they're going to walk out going, you got to see this. Oh, my gosh. Because that third act is the way you leave the audience. The way you leave them is the way they feel. Oftentimes, we're not in our last act, right? So that applies to us as people. Your third act is still being defined. So props to you for making that pivot. I tell people there's a difference between quitting and giving up, okay? It's okay to quit. The most successful people in the world have quit. And by quitting, it means that you stop doing things a certain way and you start doing it a different way.
Yeah, and there's a chapter in your book about that.
That is, yeah, absolutely. That you never ever give up. Give up is what it sounds like. I'm giving to the universe, giving my power away, giving my power to other people. No, never ever give up. But it's okay to quit, which is the pivot. But the power of the pivot is that you control the pivot. And so if you're passionate about something, it's something that you're chasing. When I first came out of FAMU, I was delivering newspapers. I had an engineering degree. I graduated magna cum laude in electrical engineering, and I had job offers to go and work at Motorola. And it wasn't my passion. It wasn't what I wanted to do. So I moved to Atlanta, and I was delivering newspapers door to door. I was waking up every morning at 4:30 a.m. All my friends was out partying. I couldn't party because I had to be up at 4 a.m. And I had to go and roll those newspapers and have them delivered and on people's porches by 6:30, right? But for me, it was worth it to do that because I didn't want to let my dream go of being a movie producer, even though Hollywood wasn't paying attention at that time. And I told myself, until I say it's over, it's not over. I don't care if the head of Paramount, Sony, if Steven Spielberg himself come and say, you don't have what it takes, Will Packer. If Will Packer doesn't say it, then it's not true. It doesn't matter because I have the power. My voice is the most important. So that is what I would encourage you to do, right? You chase your dream until you say, I need to pivot. Till you say, I need to adjust what I'm doing. Till you say, maybe I need to quit this particular method. Never give up, but it's okay to quit, which is pivoting, because you have the power of the pivot. Don't give that power to anybody else. Don't do it because somebody else says it. Do it because you say it.
We have time for one more question here. This gentleman here, I think.
Oh, thanks for the talk. My name is Jay Ray Case. I graduated from Hampton University, electrical engineering.
No doubt.
And,
Okay.
Also,
Hampton in the house.
Phi Alpha fraternity.
Hey, Phi,
corporate.
come on, brother.
So
06.
I'm curious because the mega nerd in me, my dream is to be an astronaut. And so for you, what was the passion for electrical engineering? How did you maintain keeping that as a discipline if you already knew that your passion was to do what you're doing now? Like, what was it about, I guess, transferable skills with engineering that you just kept where you could have probably majored in something else?
Interestingly, I did not want to be an electrical engineer. That was not my passion. And a lot of people in this room, I promise you, can relate to this. You might be doing something or in a position and you don't feel like that's your passion, and that's okay. For me, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, so my plan was to go and get my MBA. That's just what I thought. Okay, I want to be an entrepreneur, start my own business. I need to go to business school. Well, I got this scholarship, and this is where Deborah Williams comes in, because at that time, there was a push to get more African Americans in the STEM program, science, technology,
And
engineering,
he was
mathematics.
gifted, remember that.
And I was somebody I paid attention in class. Now, I worked hard. I was always going to be that guy that, had the test scores and the grades coming out of school, so they were able to offer me that scholarship. And I told my parents, I don't want to be an engineer. That's not my passion. And they said, listen, get your engineering degree, and then you will have a fallback. You can go and get your MBA later, but at least have a strong technical degree. Now, my parents being parents, they thought once I bust my tail and worked so hard to get that engineering degree that I was going to be an engineer and that I would have, they just wanted me to be stable. They wanted me to have a good, solid, stable career, right? I wanted something more, but I did it. And I worked hard at it. That's why I graduated magna cum laude, because I'm somebody that believes if you're going to put your name on it, then you got to give it 110%. And I say that to people all the time. Even if you're not in a position that you ultimately think you want to do, you never know who's watching, right? Work ethic is something that you can't just wake up and say, I'm going to start working hard. You grow a work ethic. Whatever it is you're doing, you need to be working hard at it. So for me personally, engineering wasn't the thing that I knew I wanted to do. However, I worked hard, went to class, paid attention, and let me tell you the trick. Now, I have an analytical skill set and an analytical way of thinking that gives me a leg up on my creative peers. Because as a producer, I'm like a big project manager. I'm solving problems all day, every day. And I'm working with a lot of creative people, and I take an analytical approach to problem solving that I learned from getting that engineering degree that I didn't really want. But I still use that to this day, and it benefits me in a creative industry.
With that said, that was our last question. Guys, I want
You
to
guys have been amazing. Y'all were great.
Yes, I want to
Give
thank
yourselves
you
a hand.
for joining us for Who Better Than You? The Art of Healthy Arrogance and Dreaming Big with the great Will Packer.
Thank you, April. Y'all give it up for April Ryan.